Hi everyone, and thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage. I know the name has changed. It started out a long time ago when I first started my YouTube page. It was Cool Cars and Hot Guitars. Then I cut it down to Cars and Guitars, and I've been focusing more on car work than guitar work, so now it's just Pete's Garage. I figured that'll cover everything, and everybody was wondering why the name changed. I want to talk about engines, specifically my Cobra engine build, because people have been asking about fuel injection, changing the fuel injection, cylinder head, porting and polishing, and the powder coating of intake manifold, which I have many critics on. So I'm going to tell you where I am right now. The cylinder heads have been ported and polished, inside and out, and I'm going to show you that in detail. All of the flat areas where they'll be mounting flanges and on the inside and on the ends, I polished all those because they're aluminum. And then the other areas that were cast, I bead blasted and used this high temperature ceramic paint. This is the dark Ford blue. It'll look good, the dark Ford blue inside the engine compartment. And of course the silver vein on the intake manifold and on the inside with the chrome. I've had a lot of critics on that, but I'll explain that. But right now I've been focusing on the fuel system. These are the Edelbrock fuel rails, and they came as just regular aluminum fuel rails, and I've polished them to a very, very high gloss. They look gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. What I want to do right now is share with you a powder coating technique, or a little trick. The Edelbrock in there, I want to add a little color into the top side of the engine here. So what I'm going to do is, the Edelbrock is engraved in here, and it's engraved pretty deep. What I want to do is powder coat this, but I want only the word Edelbrock to be red. So I'm going to show you how to get powder inside of those grooves and only powder coat the words. It's going to look really cool. I'll show you how that's going to turn out. But first let me show you how the rest of the porting and polishing has come out and what everything looks like so far. Let me start with the cylinder heads. You can see on the end here that I've polished this aluminum here, but you can still see the mill marks. I've polished the exhaust ports there all the way across, nice and shiny. I polished the jackets there for the spark plugs and where the mounting bolts are going to go. I have one bolt in here just holding the cylinder head in place. But I'm going to try and get in here real close so you can see inside of the polished exhaust port. There's absolutely no restriction in any one of these ports, and as I go from one to the other you can look inside, and I know it's tough without light, but I'll just try to show you that porting the exhaust ports really does free up the exhaust ports from any restriction. That's the important part. I'm going to come around the engine here and again polish that side right, and here is the intake side. I polished the entire surface of that, and I'm going to go look inside these ports, and I hope there's enough light so you can see that. I'm going to try and get it just right, but you can see that the intake runners, all of the intake runners have been polished. They are shiny, and they're going to offer absolutely no resistance to flow inside this motor. You can see the reflection of the camera in the aluminum, it's so shiny. But they're all polished to a very, very high sheen, and I'm very excited about that. It came out awesome. It took a lot of time to get those polished, but the proof of this is going to come on the dyno. So that's what I did with the cylinder heads, just to make sure they're ported and polished right. Here's the fuel rail that's been polished. I polished the entire fuel rail all the way around, including the brackets. These are the brackets that hold the fuel rail down. There's a screw right here, and this goes around, sort of straddles the fuel rail like this, and then matches up with that hole. And that's what holds the fuel rail down and pushes the injectors into the bungs. Now what I'm going to be doing, or powder coating, is I'm going to be doing this Edelbrock sign. That Edelbrock, I want to make it red. That's going to add some awesome color to the top of this engine. First thing I did is made some small templates so that the Edelbrock is exposed. I don't want to waste a whole bunch of powder. I wanted to concentrate it there, and it'll also make it easier to clean up around the Edelbrock once you get the powder in there. Now I'm going to apply the powder like normal. I'm just going to charge up the part, and I'm just going to put the powder on here until I can see it starting to fill up and get a nice coating inside the whole word. Just like that. Like that on that one. And I'll take the ground clamp, switch it to the other one, charge up the part, and get a nice coating on the words on that one. Now, I'll take that apart and show you the next step. As soon as I've taken off that template, you can see that there's a lot of the red powder where I really don't want it. So it's got to be removed before you put it in the oven, or else it'll be there forever. So I just have a wet cloth, and I'm just going to come along here, a wet paper towel, and I'm just going to wipe off the areas where I don't want the powder. So I'm removing all of the excess red powder on the top and bottom, but I'm not doing this part yet. I'm leaving that for last. I want to make sure I have everything else clean. Then I'll show you how to do this inside part. The next part of this process is very slow and painstaking. I have an artist brush here. It's a flat, square brush, and I'm going very, very slowly here and extremely light. I'm brushing over the high spots on the Edelbrock. And as I go across, I'm pulling the powder coat into the slots, but I'm also cleaning off the high spots. This is very, very painstaking and very, very slow, so don't rush it. You can come along and clean up this direction. Brush off the brush. Clean it off in this direction. Clean off wherever you see red that you don't want red. Brush it off, and then continue removing from the high spots. Take your time. It's very, very slow. Sometimes it's frustrating because you dig it out of the engraving, but that's no big deal because you can just take a little bit of the powder like this, just dig up a little bit of powder off of the ground and sort of hit it with your paintbrush, and you can, if you go like that, you can get some more powder on there and get it back into there if you need to. Just go real slow. If you don't get it perfect, don't worry, because after this is baked, I'm going to come back and lightly, ever so lightly polish the silver on there again. And all I'll have left is the Edelbrock painted red, just like that. I'm going to put it in the oven now. I think this bakes at 375 for about 20 minutes, so we'll see what that looks like when it comes out. You can always add more later. Let's take a look. And here is the completed fuel rail. I'll get in here really close so you can see how that Edelbrock came out. That red powder coat on there really looks cool. You look at it from different angles, you can sort of see it differently. But that's what the powder coat looks like when you get it inside that engraving. And it adds a lot of color, and it's there forever because it's powder coat. It's not paint. It's not going to come off at all. Just some of the neat tricks and little things you can do with powder coating to add things to your engine. I'm going to polish those throttle bodies next. I want to take those all apart and get those polished, and then get the air cleaner polished up, so I'm working on that. But that's where my Cobra motor's at. If you have any questions, give me a call. And this is Peter from Pete's Garage. Thanks for watching.